So I'd love to share some of my thoughts here with this, to not fall in love with one stock. Here are some of the dangers why. I asked the question earlier, what are some dangers of falling in love with one stock? Here are a couple. The most obvious one, I think, from an investor standpoint, is that you are at the mercy of one particular stock if you fall in love with that one stock and if your actions follow. So if you love the stock, you just say, I'm going to keep putting more and more into it because I love it so much, I believe it's going to do good. You're now at the mercy of that stock. What if it tanks? What if the CEO passes away? What if something crazy happens? Now you're at that stock's mercy. If it tanks, you're tanking with it. You have no protection against market volatility if you do that. Also, from an emotional standpoint, you're going to be in for an emotional battering if you put everything into that one stock. You're putting all your chips in one stock, you lose. You may cut your chances of ever having the courage to be able to invest again. I wouldn't want that for any of you. And then lastly, I think this is most dangerous. This is spiritual. So the first danger is investing related. The second is emotional. The third is spiritual, is the temptation of idolatry. You may think, that's not me, that you can't idolize a stock. That's silly. Folks, listen, we're tempted to idolize things every day. Silly things, our comfort, the control that we feel like we have, our families, relationships, our jobs, money. We idolize all those things. Who's to say we can't also be tempted to idolize stocks? Absolutely. If you're up late at night wondering about the future of a particular stock, you got so much invested in it monetarily and emotionally, you think about it as often as you think about your family or your church, you may need to do some rethinking because you might be idolizing that particular investment. So how do we fight against this? Here's what I really want you to remember. I'll give you a few practical words of encouragement to keep you guarded. 5 simple things to help you fight against the urge to put everything you have into one stock, financially, but more important, emotionally. Number 1, hold your stock with open hands. Hold it with open hands. Don't cling too tightly to it. Remember, you're a steward of it. You are not, in the final analysis, the owner of it. God is the owner of all things. You are a caretaker of it. That means you hold it for open hand. At most, friends, here's the deal. You are going to hold one particular stock for at most 70 years because you're going to die and it will pass to someone else. Might pass to an heir. You might sell it. 70 years is like a blink of an eye in eternity. You're not going to hold it for that long. Most of you won't hold it for that long. That's the very, very longest, probably shorter. Every day, I want you to be emotionally ready for the possibility that you're going to part ways from that stock. We shared a clip several weeks ago of when Dan Celia took Ford off of the buy list and issued a sell alert for it. That's painful. Ford was a good company. Ford's not biblically responsible. Dan did the right thing. He guided you to not let your love for a particular stock overrule your desire to please God. So number 1, hold it with open hands. Number 2, keep a realistic mindset about these stocks. Here's the deal, folks. Every single stock on Wall Street, even the most biblically responsible ones, are always, every day, in danger of becoming non-biblically responsible. Why? Because they are run by sinful people with sinful agendas. Now, I'm not saying you have to worry that every stock in your portfolio is suddenly going to become satanic overnight. What I am saying is the possibility, there's no guarantee. Like we have an eternal guarantee of our salvation. You don't have that with stocks. They're run by sinful people. The best stock in the world, the most biblically responsible stock in the world could flip. Keep a steady head about you. Hold the stocks, but hold them lightly. Number 1, hold them with open hands. Number 2, keep a realistic mindset. Number 3, commit to being well diversified. This is your best protection against volatility. It's also your best protection against yourself. The more you love a stock, the more you're prone to become heavily overweighted in it. But if you only put a little bit across the sectors, you can at least have that leg up to say, okay, I don't have any more money in this particular one than I do in this one. And obviously, I know things change. You become overweighted over time. I get that. I'm saying generally speaking. It's going to help you not to be tempted to become too heavily invested emotionally in a stock that you are invested financially in a moderate way in. Number 4, resolve to love something else rather than your favorite stock. There are many good things to love more than your favorite stock, the best of which is the God of the universe, but also your family, your church, your job, all that other stuff. You might think it's stupidly simple. It's not. Your affections are always going to be tempted to chase after false gods. You need to resolve in your heart that your love for Christ will supersede your love for everything else at the end of the day. Finally, the last point, and this is very important. If you are tempted to make a stock an idol and it becomes a serious temptation, I would urge you it's time to sell the stock. That's a personal sell alert for you. If you have a stock that you are thinking about more than your marriage, more than your relationship with God, if it's becoming that difficult, you should sell it. You should. Because pleasing God is more important than holding on to a good stock, than making a good profit. Your faithfulness to Christ is more valuable, friends.